Resilience has been the adjective that is used to describe the Philippine economy during the past couple of decades. And in the Asian financial crisis in 1997 and in the global financial crisis of 2008, the Philippines has kept its head above water, and we swam gracefully in this ocean of crisis. But of course, during then, we had the booming BPO and the 24/7 supply chain. We have the OFW remittances, and most importantly, a vibrant domestic market. But there is nothing that debilitates more than the risk of sickness and possible death. And I would say nothing could maim a population that have a very positive outlook and a determined business community. And I think this is the message of this latest PwC MAP survey that we're so privileged to be part of for the 6th consecutive year. And off the bat, I would say 161 of the respondents show that this is actually the survey with the highest number of respondents, even compared to last year during normal times, when there were only 128 respondents that we considered quite high already. And the respondents in this survey consist of SMEs, MSMEs, and large companies, evenly distributed. And so we're probably going to have a very good feedback in this survey. It also represents these diversified industries that participated in this survey. If you will look at these industries and the losses that they expect, comparing their 2020 forecast with what they expect to achieve in this year, you will see that maybe as much as 60% of those who replied are saying that they will be off their mark by about 20 to 50%. And yet, some of them, about 20% of those respondents, are saying that they will hit their forecast only by as much as 10%. And there are those who are saying that they will be off their mark by more than 50%. And only about 10 or 12% these industries that are especially gaining in this pandemic are saying that they will not lose money at all. Now, economists are saying before the pandemic that the Philippine economy will be the 16th largest economy by 2050. In fact, PwC is saying that it will be the 11th largest economy by 2050. Then most leaders are saying now that we will have about 2 or 3 years time to recover. We will need 2 or 3 years time to recover from this pandemic. And even if they say that this is just a temporary bump in the road, 2 or 3 years time is still a lot of time. But it is going to be an optimistic view about our recovery. 57% of the CEOs believe that the Philippine economy will contract by more than 2% in 2020. And if you will look at a large part of the CEOs, about 36% of them saying that the Philippine economy will contract by more than 4%. And this is near the estimates already by the regional economists who say that the Philippine economy will contract by 5% or more. But they're also optimistic that in the next year, that the economy will recover and it will grow between 1 to 5%. And if you look at the larger part of the CEOs replying, who are saying that the economy will grow by 2%, then we're actually looking at that 2-year period, because if you grow by 2% in the next 12 months, then you're still off the mark by 2% based on your 2019 levels, and duplicate that in the following year, then you're probably back to where we are by 2019. But is there basis for this optimism? So let's look at the projections of the CEOs insofar as their growth is concerned. And if you will look at the projections of the CEOs insofar as their growth is concerned, their growth as a company is more or less the same as their projections as their growth in the industry. And maybe it's worth looking at some of them to avoid misleading anyone. The media and entertainment respondents here actually do not represent the traditional media. And these are the respondents coming from those involved in live streaming and digital advertising, and they're very confident that they will be able to achieve growth. And business process outsourcing here that is very confident about growth is actually referring to those services that support technology, automation, data analytics, and the like. But the BPO industry is still projected to have a very good year in the next 12 months, save for some of them that will experience some negative impact of the pandemic. Look at education here. Education here is actually the positive or the very confident sector of education that is being referred to here are those that are involved in education tech and tutorial services, while the rest that's not really very optimistic are those belonging to the brick and mortar education. And you look at healthcare here, and not all is rosy for the healthcare because of the non-emergency treatment and medical needs are taking a back seat in this pandemic. Infrastructure is a split because of the changing priorities, and manufacturing and industrial products, they're going to take a bit of a hit. Real estate construction, about 40% of them thinks that they'll still do well, but the 60% believes that they won't do well. And insofar as consumer and retail is concerned, while it's only showing a third of the respondents showing optimism or confidence, and this is already factoring in the e-commerce trade that is happening. As more and more people get used to e-commerce and payment online, then I think these numbers will really improve. But the manufacturing for automotive, they're really hit hard. And of course, the hospitality and leisure, especially because our survey was done during the month of July, there's really a very negative sentiment insofar as that industry is concerned. But if you will try to summarize this overall, we have a 60% of the population saying that they will grow or will stay flat, and the 40% will really be negatively affected. And what's the government's role insofar as the private sector is concerned? The CEOs are saying that government should be concentrating on healthcare, infrastructure, agriculture, and food security, education, and surprisingly or not, these are the same areas that are being targeted by the Bayanihan 2. And I would say that I think we need to add here, as we have learned from recent days, that it is not enough to have a plan and a budget. We also need transparency and accountability and integrity. And that is why maybe principal factor that should be considered here is the digitalization or the digital transformation of government agencies to build trust, to build confidence, and to intensify private and public sector cooperation. What are the plans going forward? 87% of the CEOs feel comfortable about their tools that they use from this on this work from home environment. But look at this stat. 88% of the CEOs said that they will use up 20% of their revenues to invest in technology. It's like like after they tried to up with this pandemic, they're saying never again will we catch up, and we will try to stay ahead. And they will invest in data platform, artificial intelligence, robotics, and contactless payments. There are also some changes in the brought about by the pandemic that the CEOs expect to stay, such as the work from home policy. You know, they expect that this will continue even after COVID-19. And for those select workforce that's coming to the office, the approach will be for more safety and protection of the employees, more safety and protection of the supply chain, and this will need to take priority over the speed of the delivery of the service. 40% of the CEOs, at least 40% of them said that they will continue um, the reduction or looking at the review of their office space requirements, and 40% of them said that they will reduce office space in the next 12 months. In fact, 30% of those who said that they will reduce office space in the next 12 months said that they will reduce office space by as much as 50%. And of course, some of them are thinking even more than percent. The worst is 80% reduction in the office space. You know, this is how the CEOs are thinking when we conducted the survey. And but they really think that a review of their office requirements is going to happen even post-COVID. A fresh perspective on the environment. CEOs used to invest in disaster-sensitive um, uh, things, and they always organize these initiatives on disaster response and how to pick themselves up more quickly after after a disaster. But I think now is a quite a fresh approach, because 91% of the CEOs said they want to invest in environmentally sensitive practices, which means they will invest in things that will probably help avoid a disaster. And we also asked the CEOs what they believe are the most important traits or the most important leadership attributes during the time of the pandemic. And they came up with this: innovativeness, because they need to up their game and own the new normal. Decisiveness, because you can't really change anything if you don't abandon anything. Critical thinking, it's not only about the upside, but also looking at the risks. And if you're sleeping well, then maybe you should be reviewing the risks that you're missing. Agility, because this is not the last disaster that we will have. And if you want to build a future-proof organization, then agility should be really one of the traits of the leader down the line. And communication is probably very important in terms of leadership skills nowadays, because you're not only communicating internally, you're communicating with your stakeholders, you're communicating with the world. And it's not only data and information that you need to timely communicate. You need to communicate with trust, communicate with empathy, and communicate to inspire. So overall, I think I totally disagree with the write-up that it is a tighter economy in coma. I think that it is a cautiously optimistic tiger, and the CEOs are cautious but optimistic nonetheless. And for me, I'm optimistic because I feel that there is an unwritten covenant among all CEOs, and that unwritten covenant is to fight for our companies and our staff who rely on us, to fight for our country as a nation, and to fight for these people that we learn to be with most of the time, work from home environment, to fight for our families, our children, and our children's children. Indeed, the most important task of the CEO today is not the next 2 or 3 years, but to deliver a better world to the next generation. Well, God bless everyone and keep on fighting. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Attorney Alexander Alex Cabrera. Ladies and gentlemen, before we move on to the next session, we have a poll happening again to find out your thoughts and opinions on the sessions. Your answers would be greatly appreciated as we craft the themes and topics of importance and interest to you in our succeeding conferences.